Glad to be with you again. Thank you for joining us on File. I'm Ayola Kasim. Earlier this year, the World Bank approved about 40 billion naira credit facility from the International Development Association to help boost access to water supply services among Nigeria's urban poor. The facility is also expected to improve the financial and management viability of existing water utilities in the country. Today, 63.2 million people in Nigeria don't have access to safe water. And Lagos, the country's commercial capital, with a population of over 20 million, has water deficit of about 300 million gallons per day. At the moment, the water situation doesn't look good in the city. On this edition of File, we focus on how Lagos, a mega city, will overcome the challenges of its water supply. According to WaterAid, water claims the lives of nearly 500,000 Africans every year. It costs Africans' economies more than $50 billion every year, and it is causing half of Africa's hospital beds to be full. More than a third of Africans are still drinking water from unsafe sources, with over 1 in 10 from surface water. A staggering 70% of us lack access to basic sanitation, and nearly a quarter are practicing open defecation. Over 97,000 children die every year from diarrhea caused by unsafe water and poor sanitation in Nigeria. Nigeria is the most densely inhabited country in Africa, and its population is still growing rapidly. As the population increases, remote communities are further cut off and urban facilities become overloaded. It has been said that Nigeria has demonstrated a clear commitment to ensuring water security over the years through the establishment of relevant institutions and investments in water-related infrastructure. Substantial investments have been made in dams for irrigation and to supply bulk water for drinking. However, most interventions had been centrally driven, and local participation and ownership of the processes that ensure sustainability in conformity with the principles of integrated water resources management are missing. Poor management of upstream infrastructure, such as dams and bulk water pipelines, invariably affects operations within utilities. In addition, poor maintenance left much of the bulk infrastructure operating well below capacity. And this is the situation in the country's commercial capital. It is projected that the population of Lagos will reach 29 million by 2020 at an average growth rate of 5%. This will make Lagos third largest megacity after Beijing and Mumbai. Lagos has an average annual rainfall of 2,000 millimeters and bounded by a large body of lagoons taking their supply from 6 major freshwater sources, which have a total safe yield of about 615 million gallons per day. Lagos water supply is provided by the State Water Corporation. Unfortunately, the water supplied is grossly inadequate for the exploding population of the state.
Water supply in Nigeria as a nation today is quite dismal. About 66 million people in Nigeria don't have access to water. A lot is thus being done in Lagos State for us to close our own demand deficit by 2020. When we become a mega city, it's going to be quite challenging and daunting, and we want to be sure that available infrastructure, water infrastructure, is there to meet this demand.
Over 40% of the residents of Lagos do not have access to pipe-borne water from the state's water corporation. So, how do the residents get potable water for consumption and for other uses?
We use tap water, but over a month now, the thing just cut off. No water anymore.
Was there no government announcement or something?
Nothing. We didn't hear from anybody.
The public water doesn't float. So people are not responding to fetch the public water, both in the night and the daytime. For the past months, we don't fetch any public water here. Everybody living in the house. There's no public water here at all for the past months.
They generate water themselves by building wells and boreholes. Wells are cheaper to build and so are more popular. Gradually, the officials of government at different levels are joining the people in digging water boreholes and even appointing commissioners who channel funds for the project. This might look good, even sounds good, but government in this case is in the wrong direction, according to experts.
Down south here in Nigeria, we have a lot of iron in our both the land and let me say the soil as well as the water. So in most cases, you will always find some copious amount of iron in that particular water. So sometimes before it even settles down, you see it turns brown. And you know, in sinking boreholes too, the experts, they know where exactly to stop. You know, we are almost on top of water in Lagos. And so down deep, if you don't know where to stop and you go deeper, more, or you did not strike the real water table over there, you may not enjoy quality water as far as Lagos is concerned. That is just the area. So even if you have your borehole, the soil, you know, the water underground is interacting with the soil, then you can always have iron there.
Massive proliferation of boreholes also has adverse environmental impact. Lagos State being a littoral state adjacent to the Atlantic Ocean, if that is not controlled, 20 years from now, there will be massive ingress of salt water from the Atlantic Ocean, polluting our groundwater. In fact, that has started on a small scale right now along the Victoria Island Lekki axis. Another aspect, environmental aspect, is land subsidence. When we over abstract, there's a danger of land subsidence, land collapsing.
The total demand for water is 540 million gallons per day. The Lagos State Water Corporation has total installed capacity of 210 million gallons per day, leaving a shortfall of 300 million gallons. It is expected that in the next 6 years, the demand for water daily in Lagos will be around 733 million gallons. To meet up with the demand, the state government has made a Lagos Water Supply Master Plan, which projected that by 2020, production will climb to 745 million gallons per day. This proposal has met some oppositions. The Friends of the Earth Nigeria has urged the federal and the state governments to halt the adoption and implementation of World Bank-funded water schemes. The group said that the schemes seemed tailored to meeting Nigerians' water needs, but are actually white elephant projects. The organization says, aside from siphoning resources from the infrastructure investments that are direly needed, identified water public-private partnerships around the world have time and again caused disaster for residents, including rate hikes, service cutoffs, workers' layoffs, and corruption, among a long list of woes. It argues that the plan will only impoverish the people, but the top man at the Lagos State Water Corporation says otherwise.
It's imperative that we clearly understand privatization as understood by most people and public-private partnership. Public-private partnership, we are inviting the private sector to partner with us to accelerate development of infrastructure, as opposed to privatization as done in some other places, whereby assets, water assets of the government were sold 100% completely to the private sector. We are not doing that in Lagos. The state government still retains ownership of all existing water assets. Even the newly developed water schemes that will come will revert at the end of the concession period to the state government.